I just have been very creative about how I approach investors and educate them, and then also figure out a way that I can add value to them. I really realize if you can add value to someone, you don't need to sell them on anything.
No, because you have to also know your value to do that though, and be able to pitch your value in a manner that is receptive.
Absolutely.
So I think but you're completely right, because if you can tell me straight up and I can see it and you're a person of integrity, why wouldn't I want to work with you? Let's get this money. Let's keep it moving.
Right? Because as the investor, you're passively investing. Let's just say you're giving me $100,000 for 6 months to make 10%. You don't lift a finger.
No,
you don't do
you're doing everything
at all. You don't come in and sand, drywall, paint. You don't have to even show up for the closing. All the hard work is done by us.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Rachel's Roundtable with Rach the Real Estate Bae. I'm super excited for this episode. For me, I've been wanting to have this guest here since the beginning, since this concept was created. So I'm super happy to have him here. He is a real estate mogul in the making. Can I say mogul in the making? What you like? Okay, I like that. Investor, developer. Incredible person. We work together pretty closely, and I've learned a lot from being in his circle in my real estate journey. So I'm super excited for him to share this knowledge with y'all. So please welcome to the Roundtable, Mr. Tony Jones. Say hello.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
Of course, thank you for being here. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. How could I not come?
I mean, you can't say no.
That's right.
I'm like, I don't know where you live, but I at least know one of your properties.
That's right.
Where they at if I need to find it.
For sure.
So please,
thank you for having me.
Of course. So please introduce yourself in your own words, if you would.
Oh, yeah. So my name is Tony Jones, also known as Talk to Tony. I am a community activator, right, from all different aspects. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a real estate agent, right? I'm a general contractor, and so my company's name is officially Monopoly Man Construction and Real Estate Firm, and so we are a residential real estate and now getting into commercial real estate firm where we renovate residential projects, and then now here recently we've gotten into development and we purchase and hold, and renovate. Commercial and mixed-use projects as well too. So we have a portfolio of 19 doors right now, and $2 million portfolio, and so it's been good.
Yeah.
Real estate is definitely.
It's been great.
Yeah, real estate is definitely where I want to be.
Listen, and I tell you all the time, I'm like, that's where I wish I would have been 10 years ago.
No, I think we all wish.
Man, if I had it, like I said, the real estate time machine. Once I invent it, it's over. Like, it's over. Back to the Future.
Yeah, 08, 09.
No.
I would have loved to have a bag at that point in time, and
Man.
I would really be rich right now.
Flex. I wouldn't even be here.
No, not here. We had to fly out to LA.
Flew out. So you talk about your investing journey, and so I met Tony through one of the many beautiful Chimisaros. So I'm very ingrained in the Chimisaro family now with Daniel, David, and then Ruva is who introduced me to Tony. Shout out to the Chimisaros. Thank you for Daniel holding it down behind stage for us. And so I met you, I think maybe I had my license within a couple months. It was very, very early.
Yeah.
And I remember asking Ruva, especially in training, they're like, make sure you call your sphere, make sure you ask them, who do you need to meet? And I called Ruva one day and she's like, yeah, I'll introduce you to Tony. And so we got coffee, and I think we were both kind of like, that's cool. We definitely want to continue having conversations, but I always love looking at your work, and you're definitely an inspiration for me and getting into my real estate career and investing and all that stuff. So how did you get started in real estate is always the first question.
Yeah.
What's the journey been like?
Well, how I got started, and it's a long story. Of
course.
But I won't draw it out too long, but it was a combination of a lot of things. So when I was younger, actually, my mom, she owned properties, but she owned properties during the crash, 08 or 09.
Okay.
So you can just imagine how her experience was. And so she had a little bit of success for a couple of years, and then we lost all of the properties. And as a teenager, she's not really talking to me about the business, but I noticed that it did, increase our quality of life for a certain period of time until it didn't anymore because of the crash. And so that was a little bit of my first introduction to real estate. But I met a couple of people, and I kept just running into the real estate idea, the real estate brand. Yeah, like I just kept running into it. And I remember meeting a guy when I was working in the fitness industry. I was working for a brand called 24 Hour Fitness. They're like the LA Fitness of the West Coast. And I remember meeting a guy named Tony Claiborne, who I think his last name was Claiborne. And so he walked into my gym, smelling like money. Like literally like reeking of money.
You were like,
and it's not a lot of us in Colorado in general. And so, walking into the gym, and I was just intrigued by like, bro, what do you do? And he had just left for closing where he had made $60,000. He was a real estate investor, real estate agent, all of those things. And I was just blown away, like, bro. I'm doing like 10 hours a day here. You know
and
what I'm saying?
Even a fraction of that.
A fraction of that.
Wow.
And that was like my first person that I met who had success in it, and that I can actually, physically see and touch. Like, oh, you are actually having success with this.
Yeah.
And so that really sparked my interest to want to learn more about real estate.
Yeah.
And so that sparked me to want to buy my own house. So I bought my first house at 23.
Wow, good for you.
Yep, I bought my first house at 23 that I moved into, and then a couple of years later, I was able to get my real estate license, and that's a story in itself, because I was working a good job, I was making great money, but I hated the quality of life, I hated the morale, and one day my VP comes in and tells me that he can fire me at any time if he felt like it, and that I bets to listen. Like that, I bets to listen because I won't find a better opportunity.
You're like, bet.
Bet.
All right.
And so,
Try me.
And so I think maybe I quit right there on the spot.
Where was this? Where were you working?
At LA Fitness.
Okay.
I was in LA Fitness. So at this point now I have moved from Colorado, and now I'm living in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And so when I first got to Indy, I worked for LA Fitness for maybe a year, a year and a half, something like that. And my VP was just not one of those people you really want to work for. And he came in and he told me that, and I remember just sitting and looking at him being like, got it. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, that's all
so
it
I quit. 30 days later, I was in real estate school.
Wow.
3 months after that, right, I had graduated real estate school. I had my license. Another month after that, I had my first deal.
There you go.
45 days after that, I had my first closing. And so it's been, history ever since. That was kind of my introduction. I came in as a real estate agent first before I got into investing and development and all that.
Which I think is like how a lot of, some people do it reverse. Like some people are investors and then they're like, oh, let me get my license so I have to stop paying for somebody else to do it. But I definitely think they go hand in hand. And once you, as an agent, and two, we see this, and it's like, yo, we helping all these people run game. Like, why can't I do that for myself? Like,
absolutely.
Someone told me, like, we are inside traders for real estate.
No,
like,
seriously.
You think about stock market, all that stuff. Like, we have that. You should, anyways. You should have that knowledge of your market. So why aren't we making ourselves rich?
And that was the thing. I got into investing. When I was a real estate agent, I started working for a hedge fund, and they would hire a bunch of agents. What
is a hedge fund? Rewind.
So a hedge fund is essentially, to simple terms, it's a group of investors who are coming together and actually deposit their money into a fund, and then that fund has a manager, and that manager, they decide on where that money is being invested, whether it's a tech hedge fund or real estate hedge fund. And so it is just a bunch of either people or corporations putting money in a pot, and then a manager who gets paid to actually disperse those funds around, right? That person makes a buku amount of money as well too, right? And so what they were doing, this particular hedge fund was in Indianapolis, and they were buying up properties everywhere. So they literally reached out to every agent they could and said, just find us off-market properties. All we want is off-market properties. Don't even care.
Wow.
I probably sold these guys 12 properties over the course of maybe 60 days.
Wow.
And I remember a little bit later on, after I sold them these properties, I would see them either come up for sale or they would reach out and have me sell it. And then I would get to see how much they made. And I was like,
wait a minute. Because you're out hitting the streets having conversations with sellers, so you already know the...
I'm knocking on doors.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm creating flyers that say I will buy your house, or are you interested in selling your house? I'm going in there cutting it and licking the envelopes, and you know what I'm saying? Like
Getting
I'm
paper cuts.
Yeah, I'm getting paper cuts. I'm dropping it off at the carrier, you know. And I was doing all of this work, and I was actually getting some traction, and I was actually using my network also of different wholesalers that I knew, different people who were just in the business.
Yeah.
And I was taking those properties and selling it to them. And so what ended up happening was, like I said, I got hip to the game. They really showed me a motto. And so I remember it was a time where I found some properties and I cherry picked the best one that I found. And I said, I'm gonna do this one myself.
Good
so
for you.
I got my first project and I bought it with a conventional loan. I saved up like $13,000 over the course of me selling houses, stacking up commission. You know how that works, right? And I found that property, talked to the seller. When I came into it, he was already prepared to sell. He said, I want to sell it. It wasn't a lot of negotiation going back and forth.
You're like smooth.
And and that was now, even to this day, the easiest project I've ever done. The easiest.
How much was it?
Done. It was $70,000. It was $70,000 if I could remember. Mr. Dixon, I'll never forget. Yeah. He was an old Vietnam vet, really cool dude. But it was for $70,000. I put $13,000 down, and I had a little extra money saved up for the rehab. I completed this house in 21 days.
Oh my gosh!
Like we were hauling.
Man.
Me, couple contractors. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 contractors. We knocked this project out in 21 days. I made a $45,000 profit.
Wow.
Like that. I couldn't even sell it as soon as I got finished because of the FHA
I was
rule.
going to say that.
Because of the FHA rule.
So it needs to be 90 days with the same owner before FHA buyers can purchase a property.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I put it on the market, and in this neighborhood, I mean, it's all FHA buyers for the most part. So I literally had to wait to get someone.
So the 91st day. Wow.
Sold it 91st day, got it under contract, and made $45,000, and it was like literally.
And then you got the taste, and it's like it's been rolling.
Oh, I got him. It's sweet. Like I got him, and so that was my first deal, my first experience outside of the house that I had already, bought to live in. So I owned my own house, but that was my first investment.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. And that's the thing. I feel like, and we talk about how agents we talked about being insider traders, but how do you kind of encourage maybe agents? I know we've had conversations about even investing for me. Like, how do you kind of take that first step to start investing in yourself?
So, that's a great question. So I think it's all about a person's desire and what they really want. For me, also the other reason why I got into real estate is because I always just wanted financial freedom. Yeah. I never wanted a ceiling. I don't want to be putting in 80 hours every pay period to ultimately reach a ceiling that I can't get over.
Exactly.
Right? And so real estate was just very attractive to me because if I put in the work, there's no limit to what I can actually do. And I think that's how you entice people to get into it. A lot of people are not really happy at the job they have, right? A lot of people are hard workers, they're dedicated, they get up, they're doing the things that you need to do to be successful in real estate.
But they're capped.
Right, they're already doing it, but they're capped at their job that they've been working at for forever and not getting out what they put into it.
Right.
And
you're being managed most of the time.
You're being managed, and so that's how, I feel as if I convince myself, and then I also express that to a lot of real estate agents, right? When they're kind of stuck on being real estate agents and not getting into investing, it's like, don't put a ceiling on yourself. We can make the same amount of money as the investors that we're serving,
Absolutely.
right? And not just get 3%. We can build wealth. We can be able to leverage that wealth. We can now have tax, deductions because we own these properties. Like we can play in that.
Gotta run the game.
In that arena that they play in, and not just sit on the sideline and support. And so that's one of the ways that I like. That's one of the things I like to communicate to real estate agents so that they get into investing.
It's super important, and I think why not? Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, like you only want to make a couple $100,000
only,
a year.
Yeah, exactly. If you do a good job, right?
If you're really good,
right?
And so, no, there's more to it.
So so you had your first investment property. You're still in Indy. When is this? When were you in Indianapolis?
This is so I got my real estate license the end of, I want to say 2014. I always forget this.
That's okay.
The end of 2014, I think the beginning of 2015.
Okay.
That's when I got my real estate license. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It was like the best time to really be a real estate agent because we were just up and up. Like I would throw a property on the market and 10 offers. sold over asking. Like it was.
So it's similar to now, just maybe not as much mayhem post-COVID.
I think the
What's the
difference now
difference?
is back then interest rates were so low. Like now, a lot of people are kind of on the fence about, is it cheaper to own the house? Is it cheaper to rent? That's always better to own your house, of course. But I think back then, money was so cheap. Everybody was buying a house, right?
Yeah,
and it was trending. Like, this is the new thing. This is the popular thing to be doing, is buying houses. And so there were probably 20, 30 buyers to every house that went on the market.
Wow.
And it was just crazy. People were fighting over houses left and right.
Wow.
And so you still get that sometimes here.
Right.
But now you have more educated buyers. You have a market that their interest rates have went up drastically. So you have people really a little cautious about how much money they spend.
Yeah. I mean, and especially too, interest has changed so much. Like, I think it's 7.25 today or something like that. But
my house is a 2.25.
Ain't never living.
Come, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna die in this house.
2.25. It's like you can't get that anymore.
That's free money.
You know, it's free
for
money,
30
right?
years.
And so what people are paying for, I mean, I bought my house for $360,000. People are now buying houses at $200,000, $225,000. We have the same mortgage.
And that's why it's important to be educated and know what's going on. But no, there's so many external factors that go to that. So tell me, okay, so it's 2014, 2015, you're in Indy.
Yeah.
You're from Cincinnati. Talk about that. Where are you from?
Yeah. Born and raised here. So I only left because I went to the military.
Okay.
Right. And so, you know, I was living in Indianapolis, and then after Indianapolis, my grandmother had passed away when I moved to Indianapolis, and I wanted to be closer back to family. And it was like I was having motion, right? So I'm posting my rehabs, I'm doing all these remodels, and people in Cincinnati are catching on. Like,
hey, bro, what you doing?
Yeah, like, what you got going on? You know, come down to Cincinnati, because our market down here was just like Indianapolis. It was a lot of opportunity in that market, and so that made me then come down to Cincinnati and just start doing our investing down here, because I have family here. Like I said, I know a lot of people down here. Just me being connected. I've been outside for a long time.
Outside.
Just having those resources, I just felt like Cincinnati was a better foundation for us to really scale our business, and it has been.
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing incredible. You've been doing great. So we just completed like the ULI program together, which is like the Urban Land Institute. Let me make sure I get this right. The Real Estate Accelerator Lab, which is a partnership between ULI and the port, and to create more diversity in commercial and development space. So you've been leaning a lot more into commercial. So tell me, like, what's the difference for, I mean, obviously bigger, more high kind of construction costs and things like that. But do you feel like you had to switch your mindset from residential to get into commercial?
Absolutely.
How would you say so?
To get into development in general.
Yeah.
Like, development is intense. It's intense because you have what's called pre-development costs.
So much.
A lot of people don't talk about when talking about development. Developers, you'll hear them online all the time. They're talking about the project, how much money it made them, but they didn't tell you how much money they had to invest before
even breaking ground.
Before you even close.
I see. Before you even own the land.
You know what I mean?
Because site control.
Site control costs money, right? You have things like a phase one. You have to pay your architect, right? For us, this was our first development deal. And so we had to pay an associate developer to kind of help us through the process. You got that
developer's
cost,
fee.
Developer's fee, right? You have a ton of different costs that you don't have when you're just going after the 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom
flipping
house,
it in 21
right?
days.
Flipping it 21 days. Like, I didn't have any pre-development costs, right? You know, so that was one thing. And then the other thing is the scalability is different. And I think with commercial, even if it's commercial residential, like, you know, 5 units or more, for like multi-units, or whether it be a building like we're in now, where it's mixed use, right, where it's a commercial on the bottom and apartments up top. I think those properties in general they're just sexier. they are, like, they're just
mixed use is going nuts right now. It's like in this era, right?
Like, your ability to be able to control your value based on how much income it brings in is crazy. You can't do that necessarily with a single family house. If I put a single family house on the market, I have to look at the comps in that neighborhood to decide what I'm gonna sell it for. Me and you can have the same identical 50-unit building next to each other, but if mine is making $50,000 more than yours a year, mine is worth more. So once again, there's no ceiling, right?
Yeah.
I can then be able to make my product a little nicer, right? Do some updates, increase my rent, and get a higher value.
Exactly, and it can always change too, based off of market trends and things like that.
Yeah. So those are the pros. I think the cons, though, are development is you're now with the gurus. You're now with the business people, right? You're now with the sharks. Like the stakes are higher now, and so
absolutely.
when you're going out, right, and you're trying to get a development deal that 20 other developers who have large corporations and big companies that they're going after, like, you have to be savvy.
And it's hard to be the little guy in development. Absolutely. Because you have all these, like you said, corporations that have, like we in our class, it's like, oh yeah, this was a $25 million project. And they would underwrite everything. They're like, this is a loan, this is the debt to service. Oh, and and
they have departments for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like people who just look at pro formas. People who just work on architecture. Like I'm doing
accountant. Yeah.
I'm juggling back and forth doing everything, And so it's been a real challenge. But myself and my partner Means, whose space we are in.
Yes.
Shout out to Black.
Also shout out to Black Coffee, Black owned.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
That's been one of our biggest challenges, is just like not knowing what we don't know in the space of development. But then it's been a blessing because I can apply my experience from residential, my knowledge with construction that can help us get through at least some of the things that we need to know through development. Yeah. So talk
to me about that too, because I think like our society is so individualistic based that we're like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get the funding, I'm gonna do the construction. But in real estate, there has to be partnerships, there has to be collaboration, because not one person can do everything, especially at that scale. Yeah. So tell me about like, what kind of qualities do you look for in a business partner, and how do you work with friends and family, and how do you kind of create that balance? Because I know it can be
started.
I'm sorry. It's a hot mic. Start with the first one. So what do you look for in a business partner?
What I look for in a business partner is adding value. The same thing I look for in anything, honestly. Relationships, friendships, whatever it may be.
It is a partnership regardless.
It's a partnership regardless. Do you add value? Are you an asset to the relationship? I'm not necessarily saying that you have to give me money or do anything like that, but
what do you bring?
What do you bring, right? Is are you strong where I'm weak? So I'm a person where I'm heavy on execution. I have the experience, I have the soldiers, right? But capital is always a thing that a lot of us and developers, we don't like to bring our own money to the table, right? And so I often look for partners who can add value from that perspective. So whatever it is that I'm not doing or not trying to do in that deal is what I'm looking for in a partner. And so things like their ability to execute, are they driven, are they lendable, right? So if you want to get in a deal with me and you're coming on as, if I already have the opportunity, right, I need someone to get the lending for us, right? So are you lendable? Integrity is a huge thing. I really, if I get a bad vibe from someone, I can still talk to them and be friends and cordial, but we can't do business together. We just can't, because money is involved. That is a completely different.
Lifestyles are involved. People's livelihoods are involved.
I don't like that. Yeah. So big on integrity, and then big on communication. I don't like to work with people who can't communicate.
That's fair. Especially, and you have to manage so many different timelines. You have to manage the financing, the construction, who is working, what is like the finishes that we're gonna do. Like there's too many things to communicate on for you not to be communicative.
And our excitement level for this project is going to do this.
Yeah.
So when you're up here, obviously you got the best attitude, you're communicating and all that, but what happens when we get down here? Are you just going to leave me with the responsibilities, or you know what I mean? Like I need someone who can communicate, who can talk even when they're upset and work through different challenges.
Because you're going to get upset.
That's one of the biggest, misconceptions of real estate is like you just jump in and you learn a couple
and get mailbox money
and you get your mailbox money and you sell a couple houses. Nah, bro, you lose sleep.
I blame bigger pockets.
No, for real. You lose sleep, you lose hair, like you know what I mean? You go through some stuff really trying to navigate just not even just real estate, but just being an entrepreneur, you know, and actually working for yourself and being in control of your own finances. Like, this is a journey. This is not for the weak.
It truly is. And it's like, and that's the hardest thing I feel like about entrepreneurship is you have to constantly juggle a million different things. Like last year was my first year in real estate and I had a great year. Like I sold 18 houses my first year. It's crazy.
Congratulations.
But I remember from end of June to like July, I was probably closing something almost every week. I had 6 closings within like 6 weeks. I look around in August, I was like, baby, where is it? Where is it? I was like, ain't no way. There's like no way. So it's like, you have to be financially savvy. You have to delegate, which I know we'll talk about that, especially like you, because you invest in so many different things. So how do you kind of juggle all of those things, and how important is delegation in your process?
And so this year has been like the year where we really have taken that seriously.
Very proud.
Because, and you've been somebody like Tony. Anybody know that's like the thing. If you sit with me for longer than 30 minutes, like you're going to hear the phone going crazy.
He's like, office of Tony. And then got this phone over here. It was a rental car business too for me.
Yeah. Our drive was taking a lot of time. But to answer your question is now, because we are really scaling the construction business, I've hired on staff and an assistant to help with that and manage those things. So Miriam just got hired on in January, end of January, early February. So I've been able to pass a lot of those responsibilities to her. The development business, right? That is what I'm currently present in and working inside of, and so I do a lot of that work. But we, like I said, we hire and outsource a lot of the things that need to be done inside those deals. We outsource a lot of it. So whether it be architectural work, obviously I'm not an architect. I hire an architect. Or contractors even. I'm a general contractor, but my guys are not doing our work. I'm subcontracting it all out. So I delegate a lot of different things that, are going to take me away from the things that I like to do. I like to meet the people, to raise the capital, to find the deals, right, to put the deals together and go out and pitch the opportunities to investors. And so, our biggest focus is being on building a team around that so that I can be out and doing what I like to do. So it's been a challenge. It's not fair. And that's the thing. I've been doing it. I tell people this all the time. I've been doing real estate for 8 or 9 years now. I still don't have a full team that's really behind me, pushing all of my entire agenda without me having to be there. I just hired my first employee.
Which I'm very proud.
Do you
feel like it's still difficult though? Because I feel like for me, I'm like a control freak, and I'm sure you do too. Once you get to a certain level, it's like even trying to delegate, you like got the white knuckles.
It's two things. It's like, one, being a control freak, but it's also knowing that your business and your house is dirty, and you don't want to bring someone into it, and you don't even know how to tell them what they need to do.
I see.
Right. So the last couple of years, we've been making the money. Right. We just been trapping. We just making the money. You know what I mean? We're selling houses,
killing it.
We're helping people buy houses. Like, we're just making the money. And we paid attention to, like our taxes. We paid attention to things like that, but our clerical wasn't in order. And so we saw the problem. And so now it's like, listen, we've already made the mistake. We've already paid too much in taxes. We've already had to stay up nights and days on end to try to find paperwork or whatever it may be. Like, we're stopping that.
Phase it out. Give it to somebody else so that you can continue to do money-making activities.
Yep. And so that process has been me literally going to Google Docs and creating drives and documenting everything.
Your whole process.
Everything that I do, how I do it, and then giving that then to Miriam so that she can create a how to do and then delegate different things to different people. So it's been a challenge. I'm still going through it.
And you'll start that guide. You'll have that training manual, and then that way, as you continue to scale, you already have the infrastructure to just add somebody onboard them, and the process is still the same. So thinking more systems.
Systems.
Systems is everything.
What's that saying? You're not an entrepreneur because you own your business. You're an entrepreneur when you actually own the systems that run your business.
It's true. It's so true. Because we talk about, and I told you too, like my first year, it's hard to navigate, especially if you don't know. And residential has a way of pulling you in any direction. I got a showing after this. I was like, I might be finished at 7:30, maybe 8, maybe 8:15, but
always on the grind.
It's always something. And it's like, you have to be able to remove yourself and the brakes don't just grind to an absolute halt. So how do you, and now that you have more free time with Miriam, shout out to her, have you been able to delegate more in your personal life or kind of find more balance with that, the delegation? Hey everybody, it is Rachel. We're back with another Roundtable, but this time we have some sponsorship. So we're super excited to have Evan from Priority National Title here. And thank you for your generosity for sponsoring our event. We have sponsors now, which is so exciting. So Evan, tell us about yourself and what you do with Priority.
Well, first of all, I just want to say you're welcome. We love to support all of our realtors and lenders. Any way we can help you grow your business, we're all about that. So I'm a marketing executive. I get the fun part of the job. I get to kind of be the face of the company, sponsor events, and really just help my friends and realtors and lenders out any way we can help grow their business.
Which they definitely do. So tell us what sets us apart. So what sets Priority National Title apart in your experience?
I would have to start at the foundation, and that is the ownership. Tina Martin and Ken Martin have the utmost integrity, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears into this title company. Rather than competing with other title companies saying we have to do what they do, they say let's do what they don't do. And so I think that's what really sets us apart is we're willing to go the extra mile of what some other title companies aren't willing to do.
Agreed. And I can even speak to personal experience because I've closed a couple deals with Priority at this point. And I had a really tough deal. It was a land deal in Westchester. And the seller, I think they were out of country. I think they were like in Pakistan or something like that. And so we sent the deal originally to a different title company. They weren't able to do international online remote closing. So it was like, oh crap. Okay. Hey, Priority, can you do it? And of course, Tina and the group was like, yeah, absolutely. Swing it our way. And so the experience was great. And even my buyer, really was focused on a certain date. I think the number was really important to him. He's like, hey, can we close on this date? It was a Saturday. I was like, hey, can we close? It wasn't an issue. So we had like a Saturday morning closing. Everybody was happy. It was efficient. Like anytime I go in and out of there, I feel like it's like a 30-minute closing. So it's super. I've had great experiences, I definitely will say.
Beautiful. Well, we love it. We love working with you. And yeah, Saturdays aren't a problem. Sundays aren't a problem. Up until 11:30 at night. And as I've kind of joked with you, but in all seriousness, we close everywhere except for the moon and under the water.
For sure.
So we're going to work on that, though.
Yeah.
We talk about
we were
getting Elon
joking,
involved.
too. I know. I was like, Elon might create another place that we could not. I don't know. We'll see. It's a challenge.
Yes. I'm up for the challenge.
For sure. Well, we appreciate you once again. Please let us know where we can find you or more information about Priority National.
Well, our website is prioritynational.com. You can reach me directly at 513-227-9759.
And you have to be intentional about just taking your time back sometimes. It's never the right time to, step out of business and go play basketball with my son, right? And so I'm aware more of like how me not being at home has affected, the family in some sorts, and like how I need to spend more time with the kids, because I've been working so much, and so I've just been intentional.
Good for you.
Intentional about it. I think the other thing is a lot of people think when you delegate something and you get more time, that it just frees you up.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that.
That I needed
it's
to
just
do.
one less thing that I have to do.
Exactly. And so I think now the space that I'm in is I want to scale this business. I'm going to scale this business, right? I'm going to scale this business, but I'm not going to miss out anymore on my family, for the sake of scaling a business. And there's going to be sacrifice. There's always sacrifice. You're an entrepreneur. You got to sacrifice something. But we're big on taking vacations, getting that time in, whether we're working out. Like I try to do, and then now, of course, in the summer, my kids work with me, right? And my nephews, they work with me, right? So they're working for the construction company. So I bring them on, of course, because I need the help, but also because I want to spend more time with them, even in my setting, even at work, to teach them the qualities that they need to have once they get older.
That's
so
super important.
It's been a challenge, though. It's not all peaches and cream, right? Like it's not all. You don't get to make every single basketball game, every single football game, because work does call, and the quality of life that I'm trying to provide for them, I can't be there all the time, right? Like we're trying to create a family empire, right? Like I hate to use the name, but we want to see that Trump name. We want to see Jones, right? We want to see Jones on a building, right? We want to see Jones on skyscraper. We want this to be a family name, and really promote our brand. So it's not. I can't just be home 24/7. I have to be at work. But we're finding the balance.
And I'm sure it's just an ever-changing relationship. You know, it's like you have to meet somebody where you're at, or I'm sure there's lots of pull and tug, and you guys have systems that you can work
and then
together.
I have an amazing wife too.
Shout out to her.
Like
holding it down.
Yeah, just the having somebody. Now I'm 32. I've been married for 12 years. Hope I got that right, wifey. Married for 12 years, and we've been together for 17 years. So this is somebody who really
life
knows me. I'm 32 years old, right? And so her ability to be able to communicate with me when I'm maybe lacking in a certain area, and be able to communicate to me in a way that makes me actually correct it and motivates me to change it, like, it's crazy. Like, she knows how to really be like, babe, now you've made enough money.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Enjoy yourself.
You missed this.
And that's women's touch. And that's women's touch. And I think that's important. And like talking about, and I noticed that in real estate too, is, I mean, as a single person, I'm very aware that I feel like, no, but it's true though. Like you see all these moguls and like scaling up, but they don't talk about the partnerships at home that allow them to have the space to allow them to scale up and do that and be present. And I think that's really important to touch on that.
I couldn't even do what I'm doing now if I was not confident about my wife's ability to hold home down.
Exactly.
And so now she's even helping with the business, but I know if I go on, out of the state for a week to go look at properties in Miami or something, like, I have nothing to worry about. The kids, the homework is going to get done. They're going to be safe. They're going to get the practice. Like, I have that village with her and then other family members as well to always know that my kids and my family are
taken care of.
Yeah.
Very blessed.
Yeah.
Very blessed. That's awesome.
We do have a village.
You do. And you have to, especially or being around like-minded people, especially in this, because you can be skewed any type of way, especially in real estate, or any entrepreneurship. So keeping people that uplift you when things are crazy, when everything goes awry, because it will. And keeping you grounded is really important. So shout out to her. That's awesome. So how do you stay so we talk about your renovations. I know I'm sure you have tons of stories. But I had you do like a worst case, but I want to switch it up. I want to do tell me about like a creative financing deal. Like maybe one of your most creative deals that you've kind of gotten into so far.
So there's a deal that we're working on now, and there's a deal that I've done before, but I use private money. My pitch is I give investors the opportunity to invest in the real estate so they can make passive income with low risk. And that's what our projects are, right? And so, you're able to, I'm really able to attract a lot of private money investors because they see the value that I can add because of my resume and what I've been doing, right? But also the deals that we take, right, the numbers make sense.
Absolutely.
I don't get into a lot of projects where it doesn't have a lot of meat on the bones, right? So I'm buying properties at 30% of the value, and after rehab, right, I'm only 50% at the max. Like those are some of the type of deals that I
that's
like.
that's your
and
criteria.
So therefore if my exit is to is to actually refinance this property after I lease it up and renovate it and add value to it, then I know that I can always repay my investors back because I'm only 50% in of the total value. And so it's been a lot of deals where, I don't bring any of my money to the table.
Other people's money.
People trust me. My word is good. I don't do bad business. I'm easy to find. You know what I mean? I'm all over.
Black coffee.
Yeah, I'm easy to find, and I have the experience. And so I educate my investors about the opportunity to invest in real estate and how this is a better opportunity than, let's just say, the stock market,
right?
That lost 70
volatile,
super volatile, right? 70% in one day, during the pandemic. Like our houses didn't do that. And so I educate them about how they can tap into their 401k to pull out money to invest in real estate, how they can borrow against their life insurance to use that money to invest in real estate and make more money on their return. And so I just have been very creative about how I approach investors and educate them, and then also figure out a way that I can add value to them. I really realize if you can add value to someone, you don't need to sell them on anything.
No, because if you have to also know your value to do that though, and be able to pitch your value in a manner that is receptive.
Absolutely.
So I think that's but you're completely right, because if you can tell me straight up and I can see it and you're a person of integrity, why wouldn't I want to work with you? Let's get this money. Let's keep it moving.
Right? Because as the investor, you know, you're passively investing. Let's just say you're giving me $100,000 for 6 months to make 10%. You don't lift a finger.
No.
You don't do
You're doing everything
at all. You don't come in and sand, drywall, paint. You don't have to even show up for the closing. All the hard work is done by us, right? And so you can passively make $10,000 in 6 months without lifting a finger. Versus if that money just sat in the bank.
Exactly, at 0.0 whatever interest.
If I have to convince you to do that, I don't need your money.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't understand that concept, it's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're just big on creating the opportunities that create the space for investors to come in and actually invest in our projects.
That's smart. And there's a lot of people out there that are willing to give their money for and invest their money.
That's another thing, is a lot of people think that it's like, where do you find these people? They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, right? But the reason why they're maybe not investing in you is because you may not have the resume, you may not have the experience, but that's why you partner up with someone who does, so that you can show off their ability and to your network and get the money from them, right?
And they have more confidence.
It's being creative and not just taking the standard, right? Not just always going into the bank and getting the loan. You know, I did that for my first opportunity. I've done that for other opportunities.
Right, which is
but,
great.
you know, I have the best deals for me are the private money deals.
So most of yours, what would you say your percentage of private money is? Private money deals? Like almost
say 70.
70%? That's great.
Yeah, probably about 70.
Come on, I got 20 on it. I'm like, I can't give you 10 bands just yet, but one of these days.
Yeah, I would say about in some way, shape, or form, private money is involved in about 70% of my deals.
Wow.
Whether that be from a total project cost perspective, or they may invest in the down payment, right? Like the private money is majority of the time circulating in my deals, because my investors have found out that you know, you can make money, and I trust you, right? That's one of the biggest things. People can trust me.
Absolutely.
You know, if there's been times, you know, with the different investors where a project didn't go as planned, and it may have taken a little longer to pay them back, but still to this day, I've never had an investor attempt to sue or anything, because the trust is there, and I show, and we're transparent with everything we do. They see the steps, they see the reason why, they see how hard we're working to get the money back, and there's always, you know, smiles at the end.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So we talked about passive investing. Can we talk about how real estate investing is not passive for you? Like, I think a lot of people they're like, yeah, I'm gonna own 20 doors and I'll get a check every month from the government. Like, let's talk about how not passive it is.
You know, real estate is another job.
It truly.
When you own the properties, like I see a lot of people who have a full-time job and then they buy an apartment building, and they're like, I didn't know this was going to turn into another job. Like, yeah.
It is a job.
It is a job, right? When their tenants don't have anyone to call when the sink is leaking, who they're going to call?
Exactly.
All right? When your Airbnb, when someone's throwing a party at your Airbnb and the cops create a fake profile, which just happened.
I was gonna say, this sounds very specific.
Yeah, just happened. Well, while we were in LA, literally just happened, right? So when the police call you in the middle of the night, you have to scramble to get someone there. So you're consistently working, right? Especially with the rehab projects. Flipping, that was another reason why I felt as if we needed to switch our strategy from just flipping to actually burring and holding, because of the benefits and how long, over a period of time, I could benefit off those properties versus the one time selling it. Like, it just didn't make sense.
Versus
it's like,
cash.
even if I'm making $30,000, I only made it one time. Versus I can make the same $30,000, rent it out, cash flow for a while, and then sell it in 5 or 10 years.
Right. Wow.
And so, you know, it turns into a job, because there's a lot of responsibility with it. Like, whether you're managing your construction projects, like I said, or you're the actual manager for your actual rental properties. I've gotten the craziest calls at all times of the night. Or if you have to track people down and chase people for your money.
That too. Or evict somebody, because that is like such a process. It's all.
Yeah, I've had horrible evictions. You know, and some tenants who I didn't even evict, just in the middle of the night, just left.
Really?
Trashed a place and just left.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's not always
sunshine and a 60-second TikTok clip of like how to buy, you know, and flip and do,
But it's worth it because, and with all of that being said, on all those assets, I still made money.
And you make long-term money because you can make money for your family. You can make money for your kids. You can make, imagine.
I still learned something, right? I still got something out of it. It seems like every time I have a issue with a project, I either gain a new client, meet a new contractor, talk to a new lender. You know, like it creates a problem that forces me to get out and do more work and meet someone who can solve my problems, right? And so it's always something good that comes out of it, but it's not for the weak-hearted. No, it's not.
I think that's a common misconception. I get that a lot, especially like novice investors, first-time investors. They're like, I had somebody who was like, hey, Rach, I want to get, first-time investor. They wanted to purchase a property with rehab, under $100,000 and have it flipped in 5 months. I'm like, not feasible. But let's learn a little bit. Let's talk it out so we can get you to like revisit your expectations.
That's right.
But I definitely think social media, TikTok, and you get the highlight reel. You know, you're very like on Instagram showing what you're doing, but we only see the exciting part, or maybe we'll see the construction, but we don't see all of the issues that went behind.
Because I don't want to be on Instagram where I'm cussing somebody out.
Seeing some bad shit. I'm not doing that.
When I'm sitting here stressed out, you know what I mean? Put the camera on myself while I'm just going through it, you know? Yeah, but you're right though. Social media does that. And it's a good thing and a bad thing because it actually motivates people to actually get into the space.
Agreed.
And inspires them, right? Because it does look really good. But as you know, I'm open and transparent with everyone, right? Like I even post some of the problems. You know, like last year, we lost over $60,000.
Wow.
You know, it's like this happens. This is what happens, right?
It's the risk of the game.
It's the risk of the game, you know. But if you buy right. If you execute your strategy, if you actually create a strategy before and you stick to that, it just does this. That's just what's happened. That's just life, right? It's ebbs and flows. So,
and that's the thing too. I like that mindset. We talk a lot about mindset, and there's a lot of things you can only control within what you control, which is your actions, your words, your thoughts, what you do. But in real estate, I mean, most of it is things that we can't control. Interest rates, inventory. I can't control that. So how do you kind of train your mindset to be able to find that happy middle ground between what you can control and what you can't?
I'll wait till you transparent. I'll wait till
interrupted. Sure, I got you, friend. So no, we were talking about staying motivated throughout all the ebbs and flows of real estate and entrepreneurship and things like that. What tools do you use to maintain motivation and your mindset?
I don't use really the word motivation.
Sure.
You know, because if you need to be motivated to do it, you're probably not going to do it, honestly.
Sure.
But what I use to just stay on task is we just have a set of like goals and a desire just to execute everything. Like it's really just inside of me, honestly. Like I really
you got that drive.
Yeah, I just have the drive, and I don't see a life where I'm not working towards something, right? But you know, some things that do refuel me, whether it be educating myself, watching the things that I put into my brain, right? So I'm always learning, and if you continue to learn about new things, you may strive to actually do those things. And so consistently learning, reading. Like you said, I remember I told you about my trip to Bali, where, you know, we really took that time to really decompress and recharge.
You did a silent retreat in Bali. Also talk about that. You're like, you just like say it very casually, like, yeah, I just slid over there. Like, no.
Yeah.
You want a whole journey.
That was definitely one of those trips that I needed to recharge and be prepared for 2023. And so I went to Bali for a total of 13 days. My travel time was 13 days, but I was in Bali for 10 days. And so I went to Bali and I did a 5-day retreat at Bali Silent Retreat, and it was amazing. Like the entire experience was just it was unlike anything I've ever experienced. To be able to wake up every day, not have anybody to worry about, not have anything to do. You're talking to somebody who's had a kid since senior year of high school, been married since 1920, right? And so to not have a single person looking to me for any type of direction, and where I can just focus on myself, and I can pray, and I can read, and I can just be present, was
game changer. What made you want to do that?
Just being out of balance, and knowing that I was out of balance. I knew I was out of balance because I'm having anxiety, right? I'm not sleeping at night. I'm restless at night. Like and everything was fine, right? It's crazy when you're stressed out, you know, fine, quote unquote. But it's crazy when, you know, you pray for your business to grow. You pray to have a certain amount of money. You pray to have different things going on. Then they come, and then you're still not happy. That's when you sit back like, wait a minute, something's really wrong with me. So I knew that something was wrong, and that the only thing that I have not done in the last 20 years is have time for myself, yourself. Right? And so I just wanted to get that, reclaim my time back and get time for myself. It was crazy.
I'm so proud.
No, it was the best experience of my life, really, besides seeing my kids being born. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, it was really different. It was just different. And the people, and shout out to Bali, because the people in Bali are so spiritual. I couldn't have picked a better place to do this at. And just how they're really connected with earth and connected with their faith, and, you know, all the things that you need to get through tough times.
Yeah.
And they were really, it was the best place to take a silent retreat at.
And that's so, like, profound, because it's like always a balance. Like, I feel like even me, like, I get really restless or really anxious, or especially my first year, like, I would think about deals that went awry at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, like tossing and turning. This year, I'm sleeping a little easier. I'm like, shit, I did what I can do. Okay.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Or you have to mentally be like, that is a Monday problem. Like,
no, seriously.
You know, block it off.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do in this moment that's going to change the outcome.
That's right.
It will be there when I get to it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And so I think being in tune with yourself, and also recognizing when you feel out of balance, I think that's huge. And I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs have those, I guess, mental check-ins, because you're so worried about keeping the plate spinning, you know?
What did I just say off camera, right? It's like, as an entrepreneur, sometimes you feel guilty about the breaks, because you feel like maybe that's the difference between me and the 1% of the people, right? Who are the richest and the wealthiest. Like, that's what I'm striving to be. And so a lot of the times, you know, over the last couple of years, taking a break has just been like, bro, you don't need no break. Get stronger.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're not.
But that's so difficult. Like, and that's what we were talking about, is like, but there also has to be room for grace.
It does.
You're a human. You have emotions. There are things also in our lives that are going on, because just because you see what it looks like here, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And what people carry and their burdens. You have no idea a lot of times.
You do not know what's under the hood.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, how do you, I guess, extend yourself grace if you can? What does that look like for you? I hit you with the Oprah question.
Nah, you did. I think it's a lot of things, right? It's staying connected to faith. You know, like, I'm not a super religious person, but I do believe that I should have peace in life.
Agreed.
You know, I should definitely chase after all the things that I want, and all the things that I see for us and all of our goals. But at the same time, as while I'm here on this earth, like, this needs to be different. It's just not about, I can't die with any of those things, right? It needs to be about service. It needs to be about raising my children, you know, my 3 boys that I have. It needs to be about being a good husband. And so, like, I'm fully aware of, like, what is important in life before you get to all the money and the things like that. And so I just stay with that present, and just understanding that, you know, there's more to just working. But with
that being, and it's always a balance. It's a balance. And some days are better than others. Like, you know, but I think being kind to yourself as an entrepreneur is, like, one of the top things that I've had to learn. And Daniel and I talk about it all the time, we are the hardest on ourselves. And if somebody externally came to you and maybe spoke to you the way that you speak to yourself, sometimes you'd be like,
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So why would you treat yourself like that?
Yep. I heard a guy tell me one time, or maybe it was a video, he was talking about, you know, would you buy a car, drive the car to the other side of the country, back and forth, without getting gas, without changing your tires, without changing your oil? Like, you wouldn't run a car like that. But this is what we do to our bodies.
And ourselves.
right? Like this is what's going on under the hood, right? Like we stress ourselves out, and then we have all these signs that show, and we ignore them, and we just continue to work
until it's too late.
Until it's too late, and your engine blows, right? You're stressed out. You get diabetes. You get all these different serious health issues because you've been stressed this entire time. You know, and so it's a challenge.
It's a balance.
It's a balance.
It's a lifelong journey too.
Yeah.
It's never gonna get to a point where you feel like everything is solved. If you got to a perfect, maybe when you retire. I don't know if you plan on retiring anytime soon.
No.
I know. What's your goal for that? Do you have like a number in your head, or just keep on running it up?
Yeah, a number far as like when I may step back out of the business.
Yeah.
I want to be able, I would say my first break, I may take a year off.
Okay, come on, sabbatical.
Once I'm making $100,000 in cash flow every month from the real estate.
$100,000 in cash flow every month.
$100,000 in cash flow. Just from my properties.
Yeah.
No developments, none of that. Just from the properties that I own. Once we make $100,000 a year in cash flow, I'll then be able to just step back for a second, take a deep breath, right?
But will you?
I think I will. But that won't last for long because it's always something next. Like I said, what's $100,000 a month in cash flow to someone who's making $1 million? There's people out there having $1 million days in their companies.
That's wild.
So if they can do it, why can't I do it? So it's that's like I said, the ceiling always moves in my brain. Like once we hit that goal, like the first goal was make $100,000. Once we hit that, it's $500,000. Once we hit, then we just keep going. You just keep going. You just increase, I'm sorry. You push back further the finish line.
Yeah, I like what you said about why not me. And I remember us speaking previous off camera, and your story is unique because it's not like, everybody has their own story, but tell me about your importance of formal education versus lived experience, and how, you didn't go to 4U University.
No, that's
what I'm saying. Like,
I barely made it out of high school.
I'm saying, but talk to me, and I think that's like a common misconception with a lot of people. Hell, if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't go to school. I would got my real estate license at 18.
Yeah.
So I love what you say about why not you, but tell me about your background and how it's gotten you to this point and that mantra that you kind of keep in your head.
One, I come from a family of hard workers. Everybody's a hard worker. Everyone had a job, if not multiple jobs. At a certain point. My parents didn't divorce until I was in high school, so I come from two parents who literally bust their ass every single day. So work ethic was something that I always had. The other thing is I always wanted more than what was the standard, right? Like I was always just intrigued with the riches, and like my favorite show, of course, is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Okay. But like Uncle Phil's house, like bro, I knew I needed one when I was a kid, really? And I saw that, like, bro, I need one of those, right? And so it's just always, for me and my background, being in the military, that helped with a lot of discipline and just putting up with what we call the suck, right? Doing things that you don't like to do to get the places that you want to be. Is something big, right? It's not everything. It's not going to be enjoyable, but if that is the mission, if that's what you're supposed to do to get there, then that's what you need to do. And so I think the military helped a lot. I think just from being out here as a young kid and just seeing the challenges of a black man in general helped in an enormous amount, because I did not want to be like most of the people that I knew. Everybody either was in jail or got killed, or multiple baby mamas and struggling. Like life just wasn't enjoyable, right? Everyone had substance abuse issues. Like it wasn't where I felt as if I wanted to be, and I didn't want those same habits or problems. And so I just knew once I got old enough to like really control my own life and my own future, I was going to do something different, and that's exactly what we did. So it wasn't until the military, I really loved my experience in the military, because the military really gave me the discipline that I needed to get all these things that are in my head out of it and actually go and execute. It was just like, man, stay focused. Don't worry about the noise. This is what you're supposed to do. Right uniform, right place, right time, right? And and I wish I was where I was now when I was in the military. Maybe I'd have stayed in longer, but
it's all for a purpose.
But it was a lot of that, and just having great examples of hustlers, like just people who didn't let their current situation take them down, and they just kept going and kept striving to do more. Like I got nothing but hustlers around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're keeping a circle. It's
Yeah,
important.
keeping a
It's so
circle, yeah,
important.
yeah.
So tell me what you can tell us. What are you kind of working on that's exciting for you? I know you got a couple things in the vault, but you gotta tell everything. We got NDAs here.
So currently, right now, like I said, we're doing some development, and so currently working on a project. I won't say exactly where, but in Kenwood, I won't say what street, but currently putting together development out there, which is our fashion district here in Cincinnati.
Okay.
To build townhomes. And
that's new to me.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So we're trying to build townhomes out there, and then we're going to build townhomes out there.
Come on.
But working on a project down in the West End with Means. We're doing 8 units, 7 residential, one commercial on the bottom that is right around the corner from FC Stadium, which
I will lease out for you in the near future.
Definitely can. But this is a great location within close proximity, to FC Stadium, the Bengals Stadium,
Wow.
And currently we're in the process of getting that closed right now as well too. So that project is going on. I have under contract, so now we have 19 units. I'm actually rehabbing all but one of my units now to get those renovated.
Come on.
And then
Add some
also
value.
we have another 3 units in the pipeline now that we're buying as well too. So we're adding units to the portfolio. We're doing some development. I'm doing a ton of construction for clients who have rehab projects, and so that's something I'm passionate about as well too, because I didn't have options for a lot of general contractors, right? You didn't have a lot of people that you knew or you trusted, right? When you first get into it, and
That's
so
the
I try to
hardest
be a
part.
resource for a lot of new developers who are coming into the game and help them with their projects. So I'm doing a little bit of everything.
Literally, a lot of everything.
While also trying to be a husband, a father,
and take a little vacay every now and then, be your own human. It's exciting. But that's exciting. I mean, you got a lot of things in the pipeline. I think it shows the future of Cincinnati, which I'm very excited. I know you're going to be at the forefront of it. I'm excited to see what you continue to do. Come on, I like that. We will indeed. So, I'm trying to think what other good questions, give us a couple book recommendations too, please. Or podcasts. I know you like you said, brain food.
Ask that one more time.
Like books or podcasts that you're listening to currently. Tell me.
Yeah. I mean, EYL. EYL, Rashad, Troy, Ian Dunlap, man, like those guys, their ability to be able to communicate financial literacy is unlike anyone else's, right? Like their platform single-handedly sparked my interest into things like stocks, just looking at different companies and how other companies run, to even see what makes a great company and how I can implement those things into my business. Their whole platform is amazing. Shout out to those guys. I love their program. I'm gonna be on there one day.
Okay, come on.
Yeah, I won't ask. They're gonna invite me. I promise you.
For real.
Them, EYL, Brian Buffini, who is another real estate mogul. Amazing story. I love people with stories, right? Who just didn't get anything handed to them. And Brian Buffini came over here from Ireland, illegal immigrant, got into a car accident, broke his leg, started working as a painter. Then from becoming a painter has the largest real estate coaching program in the world.
Interesting.
Owns hotels, golf courses, all types of stuff. One of those type of dudes who just from out of the mud did it and knows how to communicate how he did it. That's one thing. Certain people can do it, but it's not a lot of people who communicate and can teach you how to actually do it. And so it's a ton of resource on his podcast. Books. E-Myth Revisited.
Okay.
You have to read that book if you're an entrepreneur. You absolutely have to read that book. It talks about how a lot of the different roles that are that make up an entrepreneur and how they live inside of each entrepreneur. So the technician, right? It talks about how just because you know how to do the technical work, like if I'm a drywaller, right, doesn't mean that I'm qualified to own a drywall company, right? And a lot of the times the technicians believe that gives them, because they know how to do the work, that gives them the right to own a business. And it doesn't. And it just teaches you how a lot of small businesses fail because you have too many people who are in the technician role and they need to be in the entrepreneur role, right? They need to be in the person's role of the actual owner in the company, but they're doing all the work. So it's a dope book.
Okay.
I have literally jewels written down. I can't even think of it right now.
That's like, that's all I can eat. I was like, that's great. Add it to your list. Add all.
Yeah. And of course, last book, The Alchemist.
Of course, that's a great one.
It's great.
It's always a great one to revisit too. I think when we're talking about imbalance, or if you're pivoting to a new chapter, I think The Alchemist is always a great one to revisit.
Because you get something new every time you read it.
You do.
Every single time you
do.
read it. Yeah. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us where we can find you. Tell us if anybody wants next steps or wants to get into Monopoly Men Construction or needs a project.
Yeah. monopolymenconstruction.com is the website. I'm on Instagram at talktotony_1. I will be doing a Monopoly Men business page. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't like
it's social on the list.
Media that much.
It's horrible. You gonna do the TikTok dances?
Yeah, no. I won't be dancing. But Talk to Tony _1 on Instagram. I believe it's the same thing on Facebook.
And we'll tag
website for Monopoly Men is Monopoly Men Construction. And I'm just always here to add value and assist. Thank you so much again for having me. I've seen you literally from the beginning.
From the jump,
having so many homes at all, right? Now to this real estate mogul and doing podcasts and being intentional about educating the community. And so I just want to give you your flowers as well. And
thank you.
Keep going.
That means a lot. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Shout out to Daniel for holding it down.
Shout out to the Chimasaro.
The whole Chimasaro gang. We thank you. I thank you. I'm so excited. I was finally like a big check off my list. I've been telling you, I've been trying to get you on here for a minute. So I'm so glad you were able to come. We'll do another one. I'm sure there will be more in the future.
Absolutely.
Once you get the big development, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, this was kind of introductory to me and what I'm doing. Maybe next time I can come on and really teach about what it is I do.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. Thank you so much again.
No problem. Thank you.